Now we come to this week's band in 3-song session, which this week is Cloven Hoof. And this also incorporates an interview that I managed to do with founder member Lee Payne. The band is associated with the new wave of British heavy metal movement alongside Iron Maiden, Saxon and Diamond, to name a few. So thank you, Lee, for taking time out to discuss things Cloven Hoof related.
Hi Darren and everybody at the Denim and Leather show. I love the title of the show, by the way. That Saxon album was one of my favourites.
So Lee, for the benefit of myself and the listeners out there, how did Cloven Hoof come to form?
The band started way back in 1979 and it seems a million years ago now. The denim and leather armies were everywhere and heavy metal kids really did rule the streets. You'd go absolutely anywhere to go and watch and support a heavy metal band. And that goes for me included. And it was an absolute golden time, really. I wish I had more time to appreciate it, but it was just one of those times when the British media, for once, decided to support homegrown talent. And Jeff Barton of Sounds magazine was instrumental in coining the phrase, the new wave of British heavy metal movement. There were loads of new bands making fantastic music. There were young and exciting heavy rock bands. And I liked a lot of these groups, but I had a vision of what I would like a band to look and sound like, really. I picked the name Cloven Hoof because I wanted something with a cult association, but it wouldn't be completely obvious. I've always been kind of obsessed with myths and legends and science fiction, comic books and horror. So I wanted these kind of subject matters to be reflected in Cloven Hoof's music. And not only that, I wanted a sci-fi image to go with it. And when our first EP, The Opening Ritual, was released, it got into the Krang and Sounds heavy metal charts. And it peaked at number 18. And we created quite a stir. And CBS Records wanted to come in and sign the band. But unfortunately, because you've got an outlandish image, people are kind of suspicious of your music then. And the music is the be and end all for Cloven Hoof, so we decided to shelve the image and just let the music do the talking instead. A big milestone for the band was appearing on the Tommy Vance radio show. It was a national institution then, and it was really important for any band to try and get on that show. And Robert Plant and Rob Halford took in our demo tapes, and the BBC, luckily enough, they gave us a session. And we did 4 tracks on there, and this led to Neat Records wanting to sign the band. So we signed for Neat, and the rest is history, as they say.
The Midlands seem to create a lot of new wave of British heavy metal stroke classic rock bands, such as yourself, Diamond, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, to name a few. What was the music scene like during that period then, Lee?
Well, it was really great that bands could go out there and tour all over the country. The club and venue scenes were very, very well supported, and bands could literally just get in a van and just go and get a following and just play here, there and everywhere, and that's exactly what we did. Everybody wanted original material. No one was interested in people playing other people's stuff. There were none of these ridiculous tribute bands knocking around. And it was a real golden time, and bands were encouraged to be as adventurous with their music as they possibly could. The West Midlands always had a great tradition for heavy rock. For a lot of people, heavy metal was originated in Birmingham and by Black Sabbath, really. And I'm not going to disagree with that. I think it's a lot to do with the environment. It's a very kind of tough, built-up sort of concrete jungle, really. And life is tough, and you have to be tough to survive in this business. And there is a certain sort of darkness and aggression in the music of bands from the West Midlands. And I think it's true to say Cloven Hoof couldn't have come from anywhere else.
What bands or artists would you say have influenced yourself and Cloven Hoof?
When we first started, we were very, very influenced by Rush, really. Kevin Pountney, the drummer, and Steve Rounds, the guitar player, they were real super Rush fans. It was me, really, that like Rush, but I also loved Black Sabbath, and I loved Judas Priest and Thin Lizzy and UFO, and these kind of bands were the bedrock on which I kind of formed the Cloven Hoof sound. As a bass player, I've always been influenced by Chris Squire. I love his lead bass kind of style, and it's very imaginative. And I love Geddy Lee, of course, but Geezer Butler is another one that's played a big part in me help defining my bass style. He kind of showed me the importance of keeping the bottom end kind of tight and powerful and driving forward. I remember Rob Halford, when he heard our initial demos, he was saying, well, you know, you're a little bit kind of Rush, you're a little bit sort of like us, there's a bit of Black Sabbath and UFO and Jethro Tull and all sorts in there. And so he said, well, you must have your own style, you must be unique. And that's quite a compliment from the great man himself. Someone once called us thinking man's metal, and I like that a lot.
Your debut album then was released in 1984 on the Neat Records label. How did that come about?
Well, the opening ritual had got to number 18 in the chart, so there's quite a big buzz about us. We were mentioned in Kerrang magazine and Sounds and stuff. So we had built up quite a name and quite a following. At that particular time, we were quite hot property, I guess. And Dave Woods, who was the label owner at Neat Records, he signed us on the spot after hearing that our manager had died and the CBS record deal had fallen through. We were managed by David Hemmings, and he'd previously managed Judas Priest and Pat Travers. And his untimely death kind of left us in a load of kind of legal wilderness, really. A lot of people claim that they owned a piece of the band, and to not get tied up in lawsuits and stuff, CBS, sort of went cold on the deal. And in the end, I think things happened for the best, because the debut album on Neat Records, it's still selling to this day, and even now it's been reissued by High Roller, and it's available right now, and it's an incredible package with coloured booklets and colour posters and stuff. So if anybody wants to kind of check the band out and find out a bit about our history and where we've come from, I think the debut album is a good place to start.
Right then, Lee, would you like to select the first song that we're going to play this evening?
In England, we're all in lockdown at the moment, sadly, and I just want to say to everybody, keep your spirits up, because this thing can't last forever, and heavy metal always comes back stronger than ever before. With that in mind, we're going to play you a track off the Dominator album. It's a stage favourite. It's a song of hope and having an unbreakable spirit. So stay safe, keep wearing those masks, and keep reaching for the sky.
The original four members of the band took up pseudonyms, I believe you, Lee, being Air. What were the other band members, and did you take this into like the live show arena?
Well, I came up with the elemental concept because I noticed in witchcraft kind of ceremonies, the pentagram is guarded by elemental spirits at the compass points at the north, east, south and west. And everyone's astrological star sign has an element kind of fixed to it. For example, I'm a Gemini and I was an air sign. Steve Rounds, the guitarist, was Sagittarius, so his was fire. Kevin Pountney, the drummer, he was a Taurus, so he was an earth. And the singer Dave Potter, he was a Pisces, so he was water. And it was incredible the way all our star signs naturally kind of followed suit, so I don't know what the odds were against it. With all the elemental sort of characters, you don't need to be a genius to sort of work out that it would benefit from a kind of a Marvel comic kind of character kind of treatment, which is what we kind of gave it. And you can imagine like the thunder of the bass and the leaping guitar notes, you know, like for fire, and the earthquaking drums and the creative flowing melody of kind of water. It all fitted together really, really well. In many ways, I guess we were ahead of our time, because look at it now with all the feature films and everything that Marvel are making, and it's kind of big news. And we were doing it back in the early 80s, so it's a shame we didn't do more kind of live shows. I think we only did 3 or 4. I remember the first one was in Colchester, and people couldn't believe it. You know, they were left dumbstruck. You know, like we turned out with these costume stuff, and we could play really well. It kind of sort of senses overkill, I think. And we did it Dudley J B's, which is quite a famous kind of venue. I'm only too aware that everybody would love us to do it again. All I can say is never say never. I mean, maybe we could make a concept album out of it, but I know the fans would really love us to do it, but who knows, we may do it in the future.
As of 1988, Lee, you were the only original member left in the group, and you recorded the Dominator album, which is a concept album. I just wondered if you could just tell us what the story behind the album was.
The story behind the Dominator album was it's a warning about the dangers of genetic engineering. At the time, some scientists had grafted a human ear on the back of a mouse, and just because scientifically we have the capabilities to do something like that, is that ethically correct? You know, are we right to do things just because we can? You know, what are the rules? What are the who knows where this could lead to? You know, so I came up with a story about this sort of all-powerful race kind of set in the future, who decided to create the kind of perfect organic life form. And the kind of thing that happens with nature a lot, it comes back to bite you. And something went wrong with the experiment, and instead of growing the perfect life form, they ended up creating the perfect kind of dictator, who was super intelligent, and he plugged into the main computer banks, and he ended up carving out a galactic empire, of which he was the ultimate kind of dictator kind of figure. So this kind of lasted the whole album, about the rise and fall of this character. So it worked really well. Every song on that album we played live, and it went down great. There are a lot of Cloven and classic songs on there, like Reach for the Sky and Nova Battlestar and Road of Eagles. They're all kind of anthems and crowd pleasers, I guess.
The following year you released a Sultan's Ransom, and I've read that contractual problems unfortunately caused the band to split. That must have been a frustrating time for yourself and the band, obviously.
Yeah, it was a great pity, really. It all stems back from that CBS deal where different people owned a bit of the band, and all the contractual problems. Whenever our stars in the ascendancy and we were doing really well, these people had kind of come out the woodwork and give us a load of sort of legal problems, you know. So in the end, we just decided, well, the only way around this, we're going to have to disband and hope they don't renew the contract. And when the time's right, then we'll come back and make music. Unfortunately, we didn't realise how long it would take, you know, like it was a good 10 years before they forgot to renew the options. And it was, you know, on the back of a really great album like A Sultan's Ransom. You know, the people look back at that as a sort of a classic album now. And it was kind of a lot of wasted years there. I think that's why I enjoy making music all the more now, because those years it was just sheer hell.
Okay then, Lee, could you now make the second choice for this week's show?
Darren's going to be playing you one of my favourite Cloven Hoof songs in a minute. It's off the Sultan's Ransom album, and Cloven Hoof have always been famous for doing some of these sort of 9-minute kind of epic songs, and this is one of the best ones we've ever done. It's a number entitled Mistress of the Forest.
To
2001, you started putting a new band together. How did you go about getting the band back as a unit?
Well, it was very difficult because, people change and agendas change. So the Sultan's Ransom lineup, it was almost impossible to get them back together again. The singer had moved to Spain. So I was working with Tom Galley at the time on these songs. And he suggested some incredible musicians that he'd been working with on his Phenomena project. So I saw Andy Shortland and Matt Morton perform live, and I was very impressed with them. And they also recommended an incredible session drummer called Lynch Rudinsky, and he was a phenomenal drummer. So we recorded the Either Sun album, and I thought it sounds fantastic. The production's marvellous on it. And the songs called Inquisitor and Kiss of Evil, we play in the set to this day.
You've played some great festivals on the continent, I see. Keep It True, Bang Your Head, Sweden Rock Festival. I went to Keep It True myself in 2013 with Quartz, and I noticed they really know how to celebrate the music. What were the big moments for you, Lee?
I think, well, you've named all the great ones, all the memorable shows that we've done there. Every one of those festivals was an incredible experience and a huge honour to play. I think Keep It True was one of the most important festivals we've ever played, because the first time round it was our comeback for when we actually did decide to get the Sultan's Ransom kind of era people back. It didn't work 100% because, as we say, people change and they want different things. But it was fun getting that lineup back for the first kind of Keep It True festival. By the time we played the second one, which we were very well rehearsed and we played really, really well, it was also the start of the new era for Cloven Hoof, really, because I was doing interviews all day for that one, and I just wanted to check what the sound was like out front, so I decided to watch the band who were on just before us, and I heard this most incredible voice. I thought, I've got to check these guys out, so I went out into the crowd, and the singer, he looked fantastic as well, and we've been having sort of a few problems like with the singer, and we thought, well, he probably won't do many more Cloven Hoof shows, like he had quite a lot of personal problems and stuff. So I was definitely thinking about getting a new singer, and hearing this guy, I thought, well, that's exactly the kind of guy I always wanted. I always write for that kind of voice. So I thought, well, I'm going to go and check that guy out later on. So I was getting ready in the dressing room, and lo and behold, this guy bursts in and went, "Hey, where's Cloven Hoof?" and stuff. And I went, "Well, we're here." He said, are you Lee Payne?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, will you sign my albums?" And he was a huge fan of the band, and it was none other than that killer vocalist I was just sort of watching, like he introduced himself, and it was none other than George Core. And we kind of hung out a lot together, like after the set, and he said, if you ever need a singer for Cloven Hoof, I'd love to give it a try. So I said, I'll hold you to that. So when the time was right, I said, we'll have to get together and work together one day. So we made Who Mourns for the Morning Star, and then The Age of Steel, and now everything's perfect. We have to thank Keep It True for that one, certainly. Another big milestone, obviously, was us being on the AA Brutal Legend game, with all the legends of rock, and a Night Stalker track was picked by Tim Schafer, who was the designer of the Brutal Legend game, and it was a huge honour to be on that one. And it sold over 1 million, so that was really good for boosting the profile of Cloven Hoof, particularly in America.
With over 40 years now in Cloven Hoof, what would you say is the most memorable experience to date?
I think playing that first tour of America, because it was always number one in my bucket list to play there. I've always thought that you've got to be great to be able to play in America, especially if you come from England. To play in Europe was a great honour, but I've always wanted to play in America. And more than that, we headlined at the Whiskey A Go Go, which I think is the most famous venue in the world, really. To headline Whiskey A Go Go was just incredible. Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and Cream and everybody who's anybody's played that place, and it was a real kind of pinch yourself moment when we hit the stage on that night.
2020 saw the release of the excellent Age of Steel album on Pure Steel Records. Are you pleased with the results? And have you got a bit of background on the album? And obviously, once we get out of the current situation, you can get out there and really tour the album.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the kind words. I'm glad you enjoy the album. Personally, I feel it's the best one we've ever done. I kind of talk to the fans a lot, and I wanted this album to have all the ingredients of all the things Cloven Hoof do well, and contain all the things that the fans love the band for. I felt a lot of expectation on my shoulders after Who Mourns for the Morning Star, because it did really, really well, and it gave us a chance to play in America for the first time. So the expectations were high, so I really wanted to raise the bar and give the new record label an album that we could all be proud of. And I'm kind of thrilled with how it turned out. I thought Robert Romanga produced it well, and the cover's fantastic. From Dimitar Nikolov. He'll probably kill me because that's probably isn't the way you pronounce his name, but I gave it my best shot. But I'm very, very proud of that album, and every song works well, and there's not a filler on it. You know, every track, you know, means business. I think it'll be fantastic playing these songs live. They work really, really well in the rehearsal room. So I think the fans will be in for a treat, you know. The problem is, like, picking which ones we got to leave out, because the album's really strong. But after this hellish virus is over, then Cloven Hoof will be back on the road, because that's where we're happiest, and we promised to put on a really fantastic show for you.
Apart from all of them, what would you say are the standout tracks on the new album, Lee?
Well, I suppose it changes almost daily, but I really love Touch the Rainbow and Gods of War. Touch the Rainbow is a song of autobiographical nature, really. It deals with the struggle in the music business and putting up with all the trolls and all the people that are negative in your life, and just rising above that and holding on to music and protecting it and fighting for your music. Gods of War is all about the warrior spirit, about fighting on even though the cause is lost. And I think a lot of people can kind of relate to that. Just staying brave and sticking to an ideal, and sometimes it's even worth dying for. Another couple of good songs are Judas and Victims of the Furies. Those are two songs which I know we're definitely going to be playing live. So they're going to be crowd pleasers all the way, I think.
So what have you got planned then, once we can all run wild and run free again?
Next year we're going to be back in America to do our longest tour ever. That'll be fantastic. And then in the summer we're going to be playing as much as we possibly can in Europe, playing as many festivals as will come our way, really. That's usually the plan with Cloven Hoof. We just want to play as many live shows as we can, because that's what we enjoy the most. You get to meet the fans and hang out with them, and it's like a big mirror, you know, like you're on stage reflecting this energy back at each other. It's kind of magical, and it's what we enjoy the most. And Cloven Hoof are never one to sort of hide away after we do a show. We're always out there with the fans and sign autographs, and they can take selfies with us and stuff, because we love doing that, and we love to hear what they like about the band, and we all have a fantastic time together.
What will be the last song now then, Lee, that we're going to feature on this week's show?
I'd like to dedicate this third and final Cloven Hoof song to Brian Mear. We're going to be playing the Mear Fest next year, and we promise to deliver the best show we've ever played. I'm looking forward to seeing all you metal maniacs there. And this song's off the Age of Steel album. Thanks to everyone, by the way, who voted it Album of the Year. It does the heart good. The track's all about the music business and staying true to your music and playing from the heart. And it's a song called Touch the Rainbow.
When I look at my
Are there any messages that you would like to pass on to fans of the band, Lee?
I'd just like to thank them for staying loyal to us for all these years, for over 40 years. The only way of telling if music's any good or not is if it stands the test of time. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart for being so loyal, and it's an absolute honour to make music for you, and we'll always strive to keep making better albums, and see you all on tour next year. This virus won't last forever. Stay safe. Cloven Hoof salutes you.
On behalf of DJs Denim and Leather and the Crew Rock Radio, I would like to thank you, Lee, for joining us and taking time out to give us this interview. All the best. Thank you very much.